I don't have all the fancy stuff. I could do this in my daughter's room. That's got the full setup, but no tripods or anything. I was going to be testing out some Zoom webinar stuff because I got a webinar coming up, but that's what happened. So we've got a list of questions that came in, and we're going to answer them. So the first question is, will customer success platforms exist in 2 years? That's a good question. There's a lot of consolidation going on. I was on 4 scoping calls last week. They reached out to me to remove Gainsight twice, 2 different ones for that, Plan Hat, and Tatango, all good platforms. I thought that they would be mostly doing this from a budget consolidation aspect of things. I hope this Harry's razor does me well here. Budget consolidation, which is part of it. I mean, you're saving $20,000, $30,000 a year, sometimes more. But there is just operational complexity that people are sick of dealing with. One vendor changes one field, and the next thing you know, you're not able to run your reports or anything. So it's been a lot of system consolidation stuff out there. I feel that Gainsight probably will stick around because they have this full enterprise solution. They get the PX stuff, and a lot of big companies want that, and they just want one sort of package for that. You know, I'm a big fan of the HubSpot stuff if you're on HubSpot. And I see maybe like the ZoomInfos and the Gongs maybe buying up, maybe Salesforce, maybe buying up some of these other platforms. All right. Question number 2. Why are CSMs burning out, and why are CSMs burning out? Not a funny topic. Why are CSMs burning out, and what do I think needs to change? This might not be a problem soon, right? Look what happened in support. We automated a lot of those sort of tier 1, I always mess that up, tier 1, 2, 3, but the easy questions. We automated that, and then next thing you know, there's a third less work to do. Hopefully that happens and CSMs can focus on the more strategic stuff. AI is not going to be able to have those strategic conversations. So my thing is to embrace the AI when it comes in and look for ways that it can solve some of the more tedious things that you're doing and rely on it. I'm obviously going to run it by and make sure you're not breaking any customer or any internal security procedures. Okay, what's more valuable, a technical CSM or a strategic one? Usually doesn't take me this long to shave. I'm always going to say strategic. Technical ones are super valuable. Obviously, when your product is super technical, sometimes I think a lot of people who haven't been in really complex things always say, oh, your product should be this and you don't need that. That's not exactly true. There are great PLG things that are out there that can set you up and you sign in and you insert your credit card. There's a lot to be said for this valuable domain expertise that you can get. Hold on 1 second here. Not too bad here. The shaving, you're going for 90%. You try and get too much and you're never going to do great. So the strategic ones, the ones are the ones that can get you your renewals. If the technical CSMs could do the strategic piece, that would be great. They don't like commercials usually. You'll always find 1 or 2. I know you're like, I know George. George is great. George is awesome. But yeah, got to be able to have those commercial conversations regardless. That's the most valuable thing that I think here. Okay, how do I help companies reduce? Well, that sounds like an ad. I say the 4 R's framework. So here we go here. I think it's getting time for the old haircut. I don't like it when it's super shaved in the fall, when it's super hot out and I'm playing lots of sports outside. Okay, so on the reducing churn, fast, build the process out that you need to do, but then do the emergency kind of stuff that you need because it takes 4 to 6 months. Wow, look at that. That is crazy. It's different every day, folks. It takes 4 to 6 months for those changes to take place. And you may have to be flying out and visiting customers and doing the whole roadshow in the meantime while you're working on making sure that you've got the good value message. As I said, that could be a QBR, it could be a Loom video or whatever, but you need to be getting in front of your customers for the ones that want you to be doing that. Why do I keep saying why you can't upsell an unhappy customer? I think there's some bad English there, but yeah, I work a lot in private equity companies And there was a big reduction in sales for a big chunk of time. So they were really relying on the account management and CS teams to do a lot of upselling. And they got so focused on upselling. That's the shaving cream. Sorry, that's the shaving stuff. They got so focused on upselling that they weren't doing the value work. And they just turned into the, hey, let's get you into this other module. Let's do this. Let's get this. Let's get this. And then the customers are like, buy me a drink first. As I always say, you can't upsell a happy customer. Make sure they're happy first. Then that's a lot easier conversation to have. Okay. I know you're like, what else could this guy be doing, right? I'm an old man. There's certain things you need to do. I did a video session a few weeks ago and saw some bags under my eyes. So unfortunately, when you're tired, which I am today because my daughter was playing late night field hockey and they had overtime and she scored the winning goal, which is amazing. So I need the old bags under the eyes treatment today. So, okay. Should support be free? When to start charging? Again, AI is answering a lot of these types of things, so that isn't as much of a question anymore. There's a point in time where you do need to charge for support. I don't see it that much in like the 0 to 100 million range when that would happen. You may get a few customers that are super needy and need more stuff, and then you get into that line between TAM, technical account management, and technical support. When you build something super custom for them, that can pop in there. It's not my first thing to do. I do like certain packages that are optional, that are helping your customer with stuff that they can't do or don't want to do or don't want to hire for, and you can charge that as a recurring revenue. So there's always stuff like that. What's the one thing most teams get wrong about the customer success? Well, the first thing is that they call them support. That's the first thing. So that happens a ton. You go in and I do these discovery interviews and they're just using them interchangeably, right? Which just goes to show how they're just not treating them valuable, and they're thinking them more as a support function instead of a revenue function. So that's the biggest thing that I see 1,000%. 4 or 5 years ago, we did a study with a customer or two, and they had huge churn, and the CSMs were spending 75% of their time on support tickets. You're always dealing, whether it's implementation or support, if that's on your plate, you're just dealing with stuff that's on fire, and you're not going to do the strategic stuff. I appreciate you all listening to these. I am done for the day. I'm going to go put my blazer and smoking jacket on and go answer some emails. And thanks a lot.